delay his fate.
Do you believe this entire regime is now crumbling? A lot of the guests we've had on Al Jazeera have been saying they think this is, it looks like the end of this regime.
Yes, I think it is the end of the game. I think the fact he is continuing to kill his own people is the fact that the whole regime is crumbling, and we will soon see the fall of this regime.
You must be speaking to other members of the international community there at the United Nations. What are they saying to you? Is anyone showing that they would involve themselves in any way?
You know, it is a holiday today in the United States and the United Nations. Also, we don't have much contacts with the members of the United Nations, and certainly we will try our best to have something done by the United Nations to stop this genocide against the Libyan people.
Well, the Arab League is to hold an emergency meeting in Egypt to discuss Libya today. Our reporter Shireen Tadros is live for us in the Egyptian capital, Cairo. Shireen, of course, the Arab League has often been accused of not doing enough when it comes to crisis in its member states, of being a toothless organization. What can we expect really to come out of this meeting on Libya?
Well, we know in fact that emergency meeting is going to take place at 5 p.m. Cairo local time. That's 15 GMT, and we expect some kind of statement to come out at the end of that meeting. Sometimes it takes several hours for a statement to come through. Now, Amr Moussa, the Arab League Secretary General, has already spoken in very strong words against what is happening in Libya. He's also said very clearly that people in Arab states have a right, a legitimate right, to demand regime change, and he's indicated that other members within the Arab League share that feeling. Now, it may put some of those members in an awkward position. Members like Yemen, Morocco, Bahrain, these are countries that are facing their own uprisings, or certainly the beginnings of their own uprisings. So the wording of that statement will be very interesting. However, we do expect that when it comes to the violence and the kind of brutal force that we are seeing and reportedly hearing about, how the Libyan government is treating its own citizens, its own people, we expect a very strong statement to come in that direction.
Meanwhile, the Egyptian government very much concerned about its citizens in Libya, but also about its border. What sort of security measures have they taken to make sure that the security is at that border?
You're right, they're taking that extremely seriously, and as of Monday night, the Egyptian military have reinforced the border between Egypt and Libya. Now, what they were saying is that Libyan troops, Libyan border guards, had retreated from that border area, the Saloum crossing as it's known, and so that is why they felt a need to reinforce that border and keep it safe. Meanwhile, they are attempting a massive evacuation. There are about 1 million Egyptian citizens, Egyptian nationals living in Libya. Not all of them, we understand, want to be evacuated, but many of them, of course, do. And they're also coordinating with Turkish officials who have asked for Egyptian help to evacuate their nationals too, about 25,000 Turkish citizens who also live in Libya. Now, we understand that about 4,000 Egyptians have now crossed over from Libya to Egypt, and just over 800 Turkish citizens. So still a massive evacuation there. For the foreign ministry here, the Egyptian foreign ministry, saying that they hold the Libyan government directly accountable for the safety of Egyptian citizens, and they are setting up hotlines for nationals here who are concerned about people that they know in Libya.
Thank you very much, Shireen Tadros in Cairo. We'll talk more about the situation in Libya in just a few minutes. Right now, let's take you to New Zealand, where the mayor of Christchurch is speaking right now after that devastating earthquake that's left 65 people dead. Let's listen to Bob Parker.
Our pumping stations have been destroyed. This is a worse outcome in terms of that infrastructure than it was on September the 4th. This also means that we have had to open up the emergency valves and use the rivers in the city as emergency wastewater zones. So for obvious reasons, you need to stay well away from that. So do not shower, do not take a bath, and do not flush your loo. Tomorrow, we're all going to smell a little bit, but we have to understand that if we don't take these steps, what little supplies we have left and we need for emergency services could be dissipated. So please think about that and help us where you can. Dig a hole in the backyard if that's what it actually takes, and save your water for drinking. But remember, if you still had water flowing after that earthquake, you might need to boil it. Now that's going to be a problem if you don't have electricity. What we understand at this stage, and I've had a discussion with the chief executive of the Lines Company in Christchurch, is that they are working very hard and they hope to get a significant amount of power restored overnight. But we're still probably looking at less than 50% of those who currently don't have power receiving it. So that's going to be a big issue. And of course, radio at this time is very, very important. People are listening on transistors in our city. So our message is primarily going through all of you for our citizens, and it's a very important part of the process. So we have food coming in. We have additional support teams from the Urban Search and Rescue that have already landed in the city. We should have around 200 highly skilled people on the ground working their way through the city overnight, working their way to find our friends and our relatives and our family members who are trapped in buildings. We are looking out there on the basis that all of our people are okay, and we're going to get them out in the next few days. But we have to be realistic. And we know already, as the Prime Minister announced earlier on, is somewhere in the area of around 65 deaths at this stage. So this is unprecedented for our city. And these are hard times, and you've got to try to stay as calm as you can. There's nothing else that you can do right now other than look after yourselves and look after your neighbours. The government has been here promising and delivering a lot of help. You would have heard the heavy aircraft flying over, coming into land at our airport in Harewood. That will continue overnight. It will continue through tomorrow. We've had a lot of offers of help. It's important that help doesn't just arrive out of the blue, but it is coordinated through our civil defence organisations. We will be contacting those fellow organisations in New Zealand and overseas if we need additional help, and we will call, but we need to do that in a measured way. And tonight, as I said, our focus is on rescue. Recovery is something we'll start thinking about once we've completed this first crucial part.
On that recovery effort, obviously we've been hearing a lot of reports that people are alive in those buildings. Have the rescuers been able to talk to them? Has there been anything coming from those buildings?
I spoke to a person earlier on who came out of the building, the CTV building, and he was in really bad nick, but he was grateful just to be alive, and he told me that he had heard other people in there crying out for help. I've heard unofficial reports of some phone calls coming through. It's another reason not to overload the phone system. Roadways and even phone systems, these are our lifelines in the city right now, and we are all in this together, and so you have to be as responsible as the next person.
How many different major rescue operations do you think are going on? I know there'll be lots of big ones.
Well, to the best of my knowledge, there are around about half a dozen major rescue drives going on at the moment. But one of the things that we are also doing is, as we get a fix and we get teams in place on one of the major sites, we've got other teams coming in, and we're also moving out into the city so that